want him focused. I don't want any excuses. But at the same time, he's a grown-arse man. If he's going to do what he's going to do, I'm going to destroy him either way. And I'm going to get my moment. It'll be for me. It'll be for my family. And it's going to be for CM Punk.
I'm a champion!
DM Hunk.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. Drew McIntyre, welcome to Gorilla Position.
Good to be back. Is this the first time in person? We've done so many I cannot remember.
We've done a few. Yeah, I mean a few virtuals during the old Panny D. We've done in person, but always like the quick junket style, red carpet, 5 minutes.
Well,
so it's nice to do this.
Official, one-on-one,
live. Yeah, boy.
From the locker room of Bakersfield, California.
Yep. Random as all hell. Congrats on everything that's going on at the moment. Congrats on your big chamber victory. You've now got a date with Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, feel good mentally where we're going.
Yeah.
I feel like everything is on track, exactly how I envisioned it. Physically, I still feel terrible from the chamber. I took most of the big falls, it seemed, even though I guess Randy's maybe bigger than me these days and Lashley's jacked, but basically the biggest guy, and somehow I ended up taking all the worst falls. Logan diving on my face and getting my eardrum perforated, so I'm kind of staring at your lips, watching you, like what you're saying, because I found out about a year and a half ago from an ear specialist, because I have bad hearing in general,
right.
that I taught myself to lip read, which I had no idea. We did a little test
where
he was talking, had me put my fingers in my ears where I could still hear him, was telling him what he was saying, and he slowly slipped up a piece of paper in front of his face. And I was like, I can't hear what you're saying, you've lowered your voice. My wife was like, he hasn't, he's doing the exact same volume.
Oh, wow.
He went, yeah, you're a smart guy, you've just taught yourself to lip read because your hearing's so bad. I went, oh, fantastic.
Oh, God.
Then I got perforated, so I won't say who it was because I don't want them to feel bad.
Yeah.
But it's very annoying because I can't hear Jack.
And then you just had the short trip back from Perth.
Oh yeah, that's always good. Plus,
yeah.
the good thing about having a hole in your ear is it can't get any more perforated.
Yeah,
the hole's already there. So. Equalizes the pressure.
So talking about Seth, any frustrations that he's also embroiled in this Cody, Roman, Rock situation? Do you think that in any way takes away from the world title match you're going to have with him? And presumably you'll be on night 2, right? If he's busy with a tag match on night 1? Do you know any of this?
I assume so. I don't know. But yeah, I've made my feelings pretty clear on the show last week that his focus should be on the World Championship. His focus should be on Raw. He shouldn't be, spreading himself so thin, but at the same time, it seems it's coming from a selfish place to me. He was trying to convince Cody to have the match with him instead of finishing the story, which Cody had promised everyone he was going to do, and the fans were clearly saying, we don't want this, we want Cody to do what he said he was going to do, is finish the story, and I had to physically nudge Cody in the right direction to make the right decision.
Yep.
And at the same time, he lied to The Rock, and he's wondering why Rock's being like this. It's like, he said, you can have this match. Then Indian Giver took it away. So Cody's a liar, but that's not my business. Go over to SmackDown, handle it over there. And Seth should be focused on, the world title, get myself healthy, have the best match possible with Drew McIntyre. It's all about Raw, but he can't help himself. And it goes back to the Shield days. He has to latch on to whatever's cool, get that extra spotlight, be it Cody's return, be it the Edge stuff, be it Punk's return, or be it The Rock's return. Always has to stick his nose into the spotlight, wants that little bit more, doesn't think about what's best for the roster, thinks about what's best for him. And that's what annoys me. And I said it last week, when I'm champion in Raw, it's going to be all about Raw, all about my roster on Raw, and I don't care if SmackDown is on fire and they're on their knees begging for help. I will not pee on them to put that fire out, because that's a them problem. And I'm focused on Raw responsibilities, as he should be.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, Drew. Couldn't agree more.
People say I'm a bad guy as well. So how many times I was told today, I love your heel work, just walking around Bakersfield. I was like, I'm not a heel. tell me one example I've done that made me a bad guy.
All you're doing is speaking the truth.
I was like, give me 2 minutes and I'll change your mind. And every single time, it didn't even take 2 minutes. They were like, oh, you're right. Like, yeah, just take a second. Maybe you've not watched every week, I guess. Watch the show, follow the product, and you'll know that I'm the good guy in this situation.
But the key thing is, they came up to you and they said, we're loving your work.
They did. They put it over. I just get offended being called a heel. I'm the only guy that's been like a consistent good guy since like 2019. I've never changed. I'm willing to go a little bit further now. you know, I learned my lessons in the first couple of matches with Seth specifically when I didn't strike when I should have. I hesitated. I had, you know, those emotions that I should have had maybe after the match rather than in the match, with sympathy and compassion, and not having that killer instinct that I had prior. And now everything's came together with what I am and who I am now with that killer instinct. And chaos can be going around me, like Cody with the Bloodline stuff, where, you know, there's Solo right there, the same person that screwed me at Clash of the Castle. Obviously, I want to get him, but different mind frame now, bigger picture, focus on the Raw roster, the world title, what's best for it. Of course, I want to drop him, but there's Cody Rhodes right there. This win would mean so much for Drew McIntyre to get me forward, to get me that title, to save, you know, Raw and the world title itself. So I've got to keep my head on in the chaos. Elimination Chamber, people are like, oh, this happened and this happened in the match. How's that my problem? I can't help people have issues with people. I got to keep cool head in the chaos and prevail, build that momentum, all because of the bigger picture. And that's who I am these days, is bigger picture, killer instinct.
Bigger picture, Drew. I like that.
Big Drew.
But you are doing incredible work at the moment. On the mic. Well, I mean, it's true. On the mic, backstage, even on social media,
Especially on social media.
We'll talk especially on social media. I feel like all the pieces of the puzzle are falling into place on the grand stage for you. Surely you feel that. Is there a bit of an excitement in the air?
It's a huge excitement for me personally. Obviously, I've loved what I've done since I've returned to WWE, returned to Raw. When I was champion, the work I did during the pandemic and how important it is to me personally and how necessary it was for the times, not just in the ring, but all the virtual work and media work, etc. I was doing, and that was the real me. That was the real Drew as well. I was feeling what I was going through, what everyone was going through. Those emotions were very real, but it got to a point where I knew we have to evolve. Like, this just doesn't feel like the right fit anymore. I can't just stay in the same spot. And I'm coming out to the ring and people are like, oh, there's Drew. We love Drew. Hi, Drew. There we go. But it's this.
Yeah.
It's just the same old Drew, same hat, sword and smiling and whatnot. And I was like, all right, we got to evolve. We got to add some layers. We got to change things up. And I kind of went through that process of, okay, I'm old hat. I can be slotted in wherever to help a talent, you know, elevate, like Gunther, the likes, but it's not working for me, brother. Like, I didn't come here to make up the numbers. I came here to be top of the card, make a true difference to the overall show. And I didn't feel like we were doing it. And then these past few months, I really got given that opportunity to, like, be you, show the real you, show what's going on inside, tell whatever story, you know, you're feeling you can tell, and things that are a little different. You can go into the past, you can use whatever you want to help paint your picture. And they gave me that blank canvas, and I've been able to do with it what I want, obviously in collaboration with the writers, and like, our creative team are so phenomenal, the way they set up the week to weeks. I can't think of that stuff. That's what's great about it. They think of the bigger picture and where we get into, and each week I can paint my canvas to tell that story to get to the final destination. It reminds me of my independent run, where I finally was given full creative, because it was basically, you're going to make money and be able to pay for your house and stuff that your wife and you just bought, the very first apartment. Actually, we got together, and you just got fired and you have nothing and it has to work.
Yeah.
And I learned, you know, how to, you know, draw money, how to be on top, how to find myself, I guess. And it was all basically my stuff the entire time. And now, what you're seeing now is a collaboration, but it's very much my words, 100%. And you can feel that, and you can feel it's real. You can feel I believe it, because it is real.
That's so good to hear. So you're really being given the freedom and the long-term storytelling. If we think about Clash of the Castle to where we are now, even little things like your beef with Jey Uso, as you say, you're always telling the truth, but we're using elements of the story to get to where we are now, and Drew is on fire. So you must, I mean, well, for me, it's so refreshing to hear that you are being given a blank canvas, as you say, because it wasn't like that in the past, right?
No, I mean, to a certain extent, but also there were certain, you know, restrictions. It was a way that had been done for a while, and obviously a way that was very successful. But there is another way, and there's, you know, more than one way. I don't want to say skin a cat, 'cause I love cats, I have 4. But you know what I mean. There's more than one way to do it, and now it's very much, let's just throw things against the wall. Let's see what works. Let's try things outside the box. And if you're a trusted talent, or even if you're not trusted, you might get given an opportunity. And if you prove to them, hey, we can be trusted, you know, with the microphone to stay within the confines of the story and elevate your character, you're going to get that opportunity. And the more you kill it, the more freedom you're going to get. And that's the way it should be, and it's the way it was back in the day, and it got lost along the line, and now it's back again. And if you truly know what you're doing and you truly know who you are from a character perspective, like, the sky is the absolute limit.
Absolutely.
Also, when you said Jey Uso, a lot of people saying to me, like, oh, why do you say what you said to Jay last week? That makes you a bad guy. Do we remember why I have my issues with Jay?
Yeah, he screwed you.
Yeah, his family, and obviously made my life hell, led to Clash at the Castle. The week before Clash, I took out himself, his brother, to make sure Bloodline can't interfere. It's just me and Roman one-on-one. All these years of sacrifice, being away from my family in America, chasing the dream, missing weddings, birthdays, a couple of funerals. You know, every sacrifice not I made, that they have made. This was the night I was going to win it, present the title to my family. We did it. They all just sent solo. Just because you've been guilty of 1,000 crimes, you're not there on the night, you're still guilty. That all aside, what's the one thing I've been asking for a very long time now from Jay? One simple thing, one simple word even, because he's very, like, he's not, you know, the most articulate man in the world. He's very good with the one word. Like, you'd think after all this time, even someone thick-skulled as him, we go, you know, maybe I should have said sorry at some point. Not one time he apologized. So, of course, I'm going to be a dick to somebody that's a dick to me.
So, be real with me. Clash of the
Always.
Castle, was that a real disappointment?
Yeah.
The result of that?
Yeah, horrifically. I was very, very upset. I was frustrated. I understand the bigger picture with Roman and, you know, where the company's going, where he's going, how necessary it is. I personally believed there was maybe another way to figure out how we can protect what's going on with him, but also elevate McIntyre to where we need him to be for the company. And we didn't do it that night. And I thought we could have, maybe should have, and now where I'm sitting, like Hunter always talks about the bigger picture, the long game. If I'd won that night, the story wouldn't be the same, obviously, as it is right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, if you know, as frustrated as you might be at the time, if you take the time and you go through the emotions and you have those emotions stored in mind when you get presented with an opportunity of, we can tell this really interesting story now. And that is such an important part of it. And if it went the way I felt like it should have on the night, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So wrestling's a funny old thing, and the good thing is 52 weeks a year. Like, you're only as good as your last match, your latest storyline. So McIntyre, I found out recently before Seth had pinned me on Raw in our last match because of that idiot Damian Priest cashing in at the wrong time, that I was undefeated on TV for apparently 2 years, but I'd lost every single big match, like 12 title matches in a row or something crazy. The internet told me, and I was like, wow, is that possibly true? But I was able to, you know, spin it and start, like, working into the story, which led to the big victory at Elimination Chamber, where finally McIntyre did it on the big stage. He won it. Whatever you feel about how he did it, he kept his head in the chaos and he did it, and it's just all part of this more complex, interesting story, adding more layers to the character, making it more relatable than he's ever been before. As I always said, it's hard to be relatable when you're a 6'5", 270-pound, hairy Scottish man. But I was able to become relatable because of my story of never giving up, getting knocked down, keep pushing forward, and that's how I connected with the fans as a good guy. And now, with all this creative freedom and the fact we have 52 weeks, like, it's so unique. Like, all these, you know, other dramas or HBO shows, etc., they've got like a season with X amount of episodes. We're non-stop. We should be constantly adding layers. We should have more complex storylines. And now we saw what happened with the Bloodline, how successful it was over these past 3 years, really developing these deep layered characters. And why can't we do it with the rest of us? And I'm excited to be part of it now.
Yeah, amazing. CM Punk, talk to me.
There it is.
You're wearing the t-shirt. CM Punk's WrestleMania main event on the gravestone. Top selling t-shirt. I love it. Incredible work. What do you think of Punk?
I mean, I've been pretty honest about my opinions. Huge name. Garners a lot of attention from not just the hardcore fans, but the casual fan base. Know exactly who he is. He sells tickets. He's a draw. But he's a terrible human being. And I was around him when I grew up, and there's instances I haven't talked about, perhaps I won't talk about till it's face-to-face with him, but he knows. And I have, like, those certain feelings seems like much hasn't changed from talking to people that I know in regards to his personality. And he came back, I felt a certain way. He, instead of wanting to pull me aside even backstage, never mind on television, and saying, hey, you know, maybe I wasn't a good person back then, or maybe it was in a bad place. Like, no, none of that. Just let's act like everything's perfectly fine. Jey Uso style, everything's fine, everything's hunky-dory. It's all right, mate. First chance to get in the ring with you, I'm going to mess you up. And I didn't just mess him up. I took him out. and took his spot.
You did.
Karma, that's a bitch.
So, because he's talked a lot about making amends with people. You know, there was pictures of him hugging The Miz backstage. So he's never tried to smooth things over with you backstage?
Nope, not one time.
Okay. So your promo with Punk, great bit of TV. Was he rattled? Do you think you rattled him? And also, how much of that conversation, you know, was sort of planned beforehand? Or did you just go out there and talk from the heart?
I mean, you've got a structure, of course, and an idea of what's going to be said, but, you know, you've got to go out there, you've got to feel what's happening in the moment. And obviously that's his forte, he's a master of it, but I think at the same time, perhaps he still saw me, as much as I'm twice the size and twice as experienced as I was, still saw me as that kid. And I could see in his eyes, this isn't the same guy that I was once, you know, around, never in a promo segment with. I was never at that level to be in there with him, but now I could see just not just what I said, how I said, the confidence. When he did the Shawn Michaels thing in the corner, when I was talking, I was like, all right. And I did it right back to him. I could see in his face, like, all right, this guy can play chess.
Yeah.
And I certainly rattled him in that first one. You know, he came back strong on the second one before I dropped his arse and stomped his arm. But that first one, I could see in his eyes, like, this ain't the same kid I've been in the ring with. And I know he was a bad guy in the ring back then, but look at him now. Not only can he out-talk me, but he's going to beat the crap out of me. And I tore his tricep right off his arm.
You did. You did. When you defeat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, who do you want your first title defense to be against at Backlash in France? Who's that first sort of dream opponent?
It was in France. I remember France was somewhere I suggested. I remember during an interview on Raw, it was virtually, and I talked about wanting to do more international shows, how successful they were, and obviously, clearly now that's part of our business model.
Huge, yeah.
So many a year, and I mentioned like the Stade de France as an example, just for the French fans. So it's awesome. You know, we got Backlash in France. The fans are insane. But Roman and I wrestled there in Paris. Just right after we got back, I guess, with fans, one of the first tours, and I believe it was about 20,000 people there. It was sold out, and just we didn't touch each other for about 6 legit minutes.
Wow.
They were just so insane. That was the main event. They'd seen a whole show.
Yeah.
You know, you think they'd spent their energy, but we didn't have to do it a thing, and we shouldn't do a thing because you want to let the fans have their moment, enjoy their moment. With one, it's less falls for us, but two, we want to also take it in. Like, my goodness, like this is incredible. These people deserve a huge show, and it's awesome they're getting that huge show. When it comes to who I defend against, it's just whoever deserves it. Somebody from Raw. It's not going to be somebody who swims their way over from SmackDown because they can bugger off and stay in their own island. Whoever's on Raw deserves the shot. They're going to get it. I told Seth already, you've taken it as far as you could. Maybe nobody could have got this title to the level you did with the hard work. You raised it, you know, from nothing, his baby. You know, it's ready to go to college now. He's gave it all the tools, can to succeed, but he can't take it any further. His body won't allow him to take it any further. So it's time for somebody who is physically able to, but also someone that's got the experience, 20 years of experience, not just in this company, of reaching the top level and growing business outside this company, and someone that's represented the company on unprecedented times that no one else has ever done before. And that person's Drew McIntyre, to get the world title, hopefully as relevant finally as a SmackDown title, which he's not helping things, shining such a big spotlight on that feud over there when he should be focused on our world title over here.
Well, Drew, congratulations on all the success. I'm so excited for you to go to Philly and take on Seth. It's going to be an incredible match. Thinking about your story, though, like Finish Your Story is it's the theme of WWE at the moment. It's the slogan for the new video game, WWE 2K24. What does the phrase mean to you? If you could write your final chapter in WWE, how does that go?
It's the thing about WWE is your story is constantly changing. It literally is the never-ending story, because once you finish one chapter, you know, like WrestleMania finishes, you're like, whew, close the chapter in that story. Then the next day you've got Raw, and you're like, right, open that book back up, and you're on to the next story. Like, what's my next story? But this is a big one. For me personally, obviously my whole life's work led to winning the world title at WrestleMania, but nobody was there, and it was, I've mentioned before, for everybody else. And had to be. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, I did it, I did this. It was like, okay, we did this. This is for everybody. I'm champion right now, but this is about keeping people's minds off what's going on right now. People are scared. We legit are putting smiles on faces, not just the company slogan. I learned during that time it's a real thing. And the first title win, the second title win, and the Thunderdome were for everybody else. and making sure we keep those spirits up. It's nice to have in my resume as well, but this time at WrestleMania, it's going to be for me. I want Seth 100%. I want him focused. I don't want any excuses. But at the same time, he's a grown-arse man. If he's going to do what he's going to do, I'm going to destroy him either way. And I'm going to get my moment. It'll be for me. It'll be for my family. And it's going to be for CM Punk.
And then you and Punk at SummerSlam, maybe?
Yeah, I just hope he's careful. I'm worried he's going to injure something else during rehab. Man's made of glass. I won that match. I really won that match. I'm just concerned for him, especially wrestling someone like me. I'm a freaking monster in there.
You are. Are you desperate for that match? That's a big one for you, right?
I won that match, yeah. And I got my hands on him. You saw what I did to him at Rumble. So I tore him to pieces. I chopped him to bits. Everyone's like, no, Gunther's known for his chops because they're violent as hell. I think mine go under the radar a little bit. Put our chops side by side. I assure you, mine are even more violent. The Punk was black and blue. I end up hurting him in there. I sacrificed myself for Cody. He almost never finished his story, even though he talked about it forever. And the video game, as you mentioned, was called Finish Your Story. Because you know what? Maybe I would. Hey, The Rock, you can have this match. Yeah. Actually, I just realized what a silly person I am. I'm going to actually finish my story like I should have the entire time. Just like Drew beat me up in a social media movement to realize, so I'm a liar now, and wondering why he's so upset and saying all the stuff he's saying, which is highly entertaining. But if he takes attention off my match as well, then also, you know, he's not in my good graces right now. There's a lot of enemies for Drew McIntyre.
DM Hunk.
Hunk.
You are on the run of a lifetime. Congratulations. I'm very excited for what the future holds.
Thank you, buddy.
Good to see you. Thank you.
See you too.
I'm a champion!